Spiral, a memoir by Troy Bridges, read by Robbie Porter. My past actions had cast me adrift as surely as if I had been on a raft in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Totally alone. I had no one to write to or telephone or talk to. And in the doghouse I was in a prison within a prison, surrounded by men perhaps worse off, but at least as desperate. I had 3 sentences in 3 different jurisdictions, and had been told that I would never get out. Clad in underwear and carrying a towel, washcloth, and a bar of soap in my cuffed hands, one morning I was escorted to the shower, only 30 feet from my cell. There the guard removed my handcuffs and stood close by. "Okay, Bridges," he said, "you got 6 minutes." He set the timer on his watch. Quickly I adjusted the water and soaped all over, enjoying the hot shower, one of the few pleasures in the doghouse. Just a few minutes later the guard said, "Okay, time's up. Turn it off and get out." I dried quickly, put on underwear, and offered my wrists. The guard snapped the handcuffs on me. On the short walk back to my cell, I noticed a thick paperback book on the floor against the wall, partially covered with trash. It had a long, dark brown cigarette burn on the cover. Always looking for something to read, I stopped. "Let's go, keep moving," said the guard. "Can I get this book?" I asked. "Yeah, go ahead." Switching my towel, washcloth, and soap to my left hand, I squatted over the book and grabbed it with my thumb and 2 fingers. The book firmly clenched in my cuffed hands, I entered my cell and dropped it on my mattress. The heavy door slid shut and the guard removed my handcuffs. Later, sitting on my bed, I thumbed through the book. It was entitled "We're All Doing Time" by Bo Lozoff. It was fascinating, unlike anything I'd ever read. When I got to the section on meditation techniques, I stopped thumbing and started reading. Chapter 31. In the doghouse, memories were like photos of past failures and disappointments. Unbidden, they appeared jumbled and out of order as if printed on giant flashcards shuffled then held up one at a time for me to review. Here I was at 11, selling peanuts at the Battery in Charleston. Then as an 18-year-old Marine, cold and disillusioned, trying to thumb a ride in a swirling snowstorm. An instant later, I'd see myself in a baggy orange jumpsuit, standing expressionless before a judge, or as a small boy in ragged jeans, selling newspapers at a busy intersection in Miami. Whenever I found myself living too long in the past and experiencing the inevitable sadness that came with it, I learned to trick my mind by closing my eyes and fantasizing a glorious future instead, one in which all my hopes and dreams were realized. But unfortunately, while the sadness that came from living in the past often lasted for hours, sometimes days, the joy that came from living in the future was unsustainable and short-lived, as if it were easier to be unhappy than happy. The meditation techniques that I learned from We're All Doing Time revealed a third option, living in the present. At first, I could only meditate for 15 minutes before being totally overwhelmed by painful memories. I often ended my meditation session with tears in my eyes. But as time passed and I was able to sit for longer and longer periods of time, meditation left me calm and contented. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was undergoing a process of purification. Meditation was helping me to uncover and heal layers of painful childhood trauma. I also didn't realize that this healing process would take years and thousands of hours of sitting. But I did realize that finally I had found what felt like the right path for me. I had envied those prisoners I'd seen in prayer groups or alone on their knees at their bunks. I had read the Bible and had taken study courses, had gone to church regularly, and had prayed, but I had never been able to give myself completely to conventional religion the way I'd seen others do. Every time that I came close to letting go and joining the ranks of the righteous, I'd seen those same, saved men violently arguing over scripture or even what to watch on TV and would pull back. One day I was taken outside and put in a cage next to a small, older prisoner with wild white hair and white stubble on his face. He was barefoot and leaning on a cane, staring into the woods beyond the tall fences. "What's going on?" I asked the old man, but he either didn't hear me or ignored me, so I stepped closer to the fence that separated us. "Last week when I was out here, I saw a whole family of turkeys on that ridge over there, under them oak trees," I said, "probably eating acorns." He turned his head and looked at me. "Humph," he said loudly. "Got a cigarette?" "Nah," I said. "Quit a couple months ago. Ever been turkey hunting?" "I ain't interested in no damn turkeys," shouted the old man. "Humph," he said, turning his back on me. "Sorry, old-timer," I said. "No offense." I turned my back. The old man wasn't standing at the fence appreciating the beauty of nature. To do that, he would have had to live in the present, and he hated everything about the present and felt he had no future. He had learned to live in the past, where his memories were the only thing left him. Yet even accessing his memories was getting harder and harder to do because the older and weaker he got, the longer he spent in prison, the more his memories faded. The guard interrupted the old man's reverie. "Okay, time to go." The old man wheeled on the guard. "I ain't had my hour," he shouted. "Well, according to my watch," said the guard, "you've been out here an hour and 5 minutes. "That's a lie. You need another watch." "Now come on, Jack," pleaded the guard. "You do this every time you go on a walk. You've done had 5 extra minutes." "Y'all always cheating me." "That's why. I know I didn't get no hour." "Look, let's go," shouted the guard, losing his patience. "Don't make me come in there and get you." "Some bitch," yelled the old prisoner. "Some bitch. I know I didn't get my time." Finally, he gave up and walked out of the cage. A couple days after I saw the old prisoner in the exercise cage, I had a dream. In that dream, I had a simple but important realization, one that would help me begin to change my life. Awakening suddenly, I jumped to my feet. As soon as they hit the floor, I said out loud, "What goes around comes around."